Hello, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Saturday. Welcome to Revenant Voices Podcast with my co-host, Joshua Yoakum from KC. I'm Abigail Unfred. I appreciate you all coming. If you wouldn't mind subscribing and sharing this and giving us a little bit of love. Josh, why did we pick Revenant Voices for the name of the podcast?
What does Revenant mean to you, and why did we go with Revenant Voices for the name of the podcast?
So for me, Revenant Voices, the meaning of revenant is brought back to life. And something that I can personally attest to is that I have lived many lives in this one body. And so I came to a realization recently that it's okay to die. You know, it's okay to kill a piece of yourself for a new one to be born. And it's almost essential at a certain point that you have to accept what isn't for you and keep it moving. And so Revenant Voices for me was, being able to share with my community that even if you're going through it right now, or you've went through one of the hardest battles or seasons of your life, that this death that you're experiencing, this grieving period, as you rebirth yourself and come back to life, there's others. You're not alone. And so for me, that's what it meant for me. What resonated with you with it?
Just that beautiful picture of dying to your old life and living the new one, similar to a caterpillar to a butterfly type of transformation into the butterfly. And, for 23 years of my life, I lived like a caterpillar, eating and taking and consuming. And now that I've been reborn, now that I've come back from death to life as a new transformation, as a new creation, I get to be that butterfly that's going and pollinating and giving life back to the places that I once took and consumed from. And for me, I'm big on my faith and have a great relationship with Jesus Christ. But the Revenant Voices podcast and the mission and goal of reaching everybody, not just faith-based, that really resonated with me, because I don't want to just tell my story in the church house. There's a whole world out here that people are dealing with the same things that we're dealing with, that we grew past. So I love the idea of the Revenant Voices, because it'll give us an outlet to speak to the mental health, to the addictions, to the cutting ties from people that don't need to be in your life. And I'm just looking forward to being able to speak life and not just in the church house. So
my instinct was to say HELL.
This is real.
Mentioned we're a caterpillar for 20 years until you birthed that version of yourself. For me, it's the wildest thing is that I didn't even realize I was a butterfly. You know how a caterpillar is still a butterfly while they're eating and all of this stuff. And then as you are born into, or the cocoon opens, I guess, with the analogy we're using, and you form into this butterfly, you're like, holy, I'm a butterfly.
Yeah.
And, I can fly and do these things. And like, that's a beautiful experience that I just want everyone to know that you are fully capable of.
Even if you don't see it, we see it. And that's what we're doing here. That's why we're going to be talking and speaking life. And we want you guys to see the butterfly in you, even if you don't.
Not necessarily the butterfly effect, though. Just so we're all clear on that piece of it. I don't want it to, but I think for me too, in this last few years, my journey of like influencing, I think that's a big thing for us. Is we've talked a lot about this. We've sat on this, is in this culture of influencing people. What are you influencing? And so for your, you said your faith leads you throughout your journey. What do you hope to influence on people other than, that they are capable of these things?
So I'll leave the preaching to the church house. But number one, for me, I'm faith driven. My faith drives almost every aspect of my life. And if faith isn't driving that aspect, I'm trying to remove it out of my life. There's a self-worth, a self-love, a forgiveness that needs to happen in every person's life, in my opinion, for them to fully develop in who they were created to be. And so I'm really passionate about influencing the underdog, the reject, the outcast, the drug addict, those without a voice, because it's important to, for me, I had to have a lot of people in my life speaking life into me and looking at me as the person I was created to be, because I couldn't see myself like that. I just wasn't there. And so I'm passionate about speaking life, especially we've talked about this before, to the younger you.
Yeah.
I want to speak to that person, to the hurt, traumatized, abused, rejected young man, and let him know, like, hey, it's okay. You're not alone. There is a way out. And it gives me a lot of inspiration to talk to the young man that I was. And it's a beautiful thing that whenever they come around, they get to see a new me. They get to see an example of what it looks like to be a revenant voice, to die to that old stuff and come out stronger, brighter, better. And I love when the little homies come by and they get to see me be a dad. They get to see me be a real man.
Well, and I think for me, my influence, it always comes back to the core. And the core is that I am a mother, first and foremost. And I'm not just a mother. I'm a special needs mother. And I carry that hat so proudly. Because, my mother was also a special needs mother. That's my background, is being there to watch how my mom didn't just allow limitations to be put on my brother's head and say, this is what they say, so this is what you're capable of. And to take that to my motherhood and some other cool tricks that I've learned along the way from very influential people. That what am I influencing? I'm influencing that regardless of a limitation that you put on yourself or someone else put on yourself, you can achieve anything, and that's what I take to my kids. That's what I try to show them. But I want them to physically see that because I'm willing to try anything, whether I look silly, whether I look stupid, whether it doesn't work out, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. That should not stop you from expanding and growing into the best and fullest version of yourself. It's not just influencing my younger self, but for me, it's influencing my daughters, but the ripple effect, right? So the ripple effect is that my daughters, they get to see this firsthand, but then who do they inspire or encourage down the road? Who do they, cheer on, if not themselves, which should be, themselves. Self-love is a very big piece. But my daughters, they get to see this firsthand, but then who do they inspire or encourage down the road? Who do they, cheer on, if not themselves, which should be, themselves. Self-love is a very big piece. But that's what I want. And with my social medias, I have been so blessed on just being able to reach women, young men too, but my audience is mainly women and young women, and being able to express to them things that maybe they had never heard of. All I do is put on my social medias business ideas or influences for people that might not hear this in their everyday life. They don't have access to this type of information, or just burn it all down, and guess what? You'll still be able to walk across the water. It's okay. If you got to set it all on fire, then at least enjoy the colors while it's going up.
Yeah.
And that's important, because with Revenant Voices, it's not just a death that took place. It's that what is coming is so vastly more beautiful, filling, and more powerful than what you're leaving behind. And I think for a long time with me, growing up in Wyandotte, I was fairly popular for things, well, if you know me, then you know what things. But so I established myself as an entrepreneur. That's a good way to put it.
There you go. There you go.
Young in the game. And so I had a lot of acquaintances, and I had a lot of people that, even if they didn't intentionally influence me, they were. And then I felt like I had to keep this reputation. I had to keep this mask on. And then the more money we made, the more moves we made, me and my team, then it just seemed like now I was almost had that hat glued in my head, and 24/7 I was expected to keep a certain reputation. And I was never allowed to take the mask off, and I had a hard time with taking that mask off. For me, a lot of things ended up where I just had to rip it off, and I had to rip it off and then heal past that point. Because there was a lot of things that were hidden behind the mask, Can I operate a business? Yes. Can I do this? Yes. All of these things that I can do with a mask on, but love my children properly, be able to be empathetic and show up for them 100% in present time for them, that I couldn't say yes to. I couldn't do that and wear a mask at the same time. My daughters see me, in the trenches, and I'm smiling like a clown because I have that mask on. And my daughter, I remember one of the first times that I just ever, I don't want to say I ever cried in front of her, but where she saw me just straight weep because I felt like I didn't know what else to do. I knew that the life that I had been holding on to with my bare fist was just, it was bloodying my hands, and I just couldn't let it go. I couldn't let it go because I was like, well, what happens then? What happens if I let go? If I let go, then, how am I going to provide for my kids? How am I going to keep all this going? And my hands just kept getting bloodier and rawer and rawer. And then finally, as I released it, I sat, and within a couple months, opportunities. Now my hands are free. Now I can pick up this opportunity. Not all bloody, And don't get me wrong, I still got calluses. I was still stubborn. But it was that was it. That was, I remember going through this couple month period of really deep depression, and then came to a point where I was in Venice Beach in California, sitting on the beach. I'm drinking some ultra yummy infused berry something, watching the sunset, and it hit me that if I had not let go of that rope, the one that I had would have killed to keep, if I hadn't have let go of it, I would not be sitting in that moment at that time right there. And that was like, whew, just wild.
And we've talked about it before. Sometimes a lot of our identity is wrapped up in the social mirror of what other people think and the expectations that they have on us, who we should be. The biggest challenge, it was like the most challenging thing for me to let go of, because I was living a lie, but so much of my identity was wrapped up in that it felt like, I can't let this go. I want to be something different. Cut these ties. So much of my identity and reputation is wrapped up in the social mirror. But thank God that I did, because now I am who I am today.
Yeah, unashamed. Unashamed. How much shame did we carry with us based on false perception? I sat on this piece of my story, was that I dropped out of high school at 14, 15 years old, about 15 years old, my second freshman year. And I got my GED, and then I started my first business. And I was so afraid of people knowing that I was a high school dropout. Like, for a long time, that bugged me that I didn't have a business degree. But I did get up and go to work every single day, and I learned how to do it on my, on the ground, 10 toes down. I was figuring it out, like, oh, that's how you write an invoice. Oh, that's how you email these people. Oh, that's how you attach this. We need a presentation. Okay, this is what we're going to do. ChatGPT has changed my life. Wish I had it 10 years ago, because you might as well have a degree with that thing.
Yeah.
But, I think it's necessary to take the licks and to learn how to do it the wrong way and figure that out, that you are capable and stronger and things like that.
And I've told you before, something I admire about you, that no matter how many times you failed, you don't let that define you. You get back up and go again, try something. Try it different.
It's almost like a weird tick. Like it's a high, after being sober for so many years. That's where I get my high from.
Wait, did you just challenge me, bro?
No.
Wait, hold up. Did you? No. It's like, yeah. No, but in those failures, it's like, wait, oh, so I can't do it. Okay, all right. Yeah.
No, one of my businesses that was part of that rope I had to let go of, I had it for almost 8 years, and it put the bread and butter on on the table for my family and stuff like that. But the only reason why I started that company was because the guy I was working for formerly had told me, you can't do this. You don't have enough money. No, you can't do this. And he just fired me. I asked for a $2.50 raise, and the guy fired me. Well, he didn't know who I was. You know what I mean? Like, he knew my name, but he didn't know what I was capable of. And so that sent a ripple of, I went out and found an investor, got somebody to bank on me. And the first 10 grand, opened up the small antique shop. had no idea how to run an antique shop, and little things like that, like telling you these stories now. How many different lives have each one of us lived? So many different lives. And each one of them coming with a different lesson and pain, and it's a beautiful thing.
Well, thank you for coming up with the Revenant idea.
The word, I didn't, I don't know it. My name isn't in the dictionary next to it, but that I just heard it and was like, ooh, that's us. We got it. That's us. We got to snag it. What would you want to be able to share with the world? If you wanted, let's say, someone to know very important about you, what would that one thing be? Like, I know you're faith driven. I know that you're a dad and a husband, and like those are labels. But take yourself outside of all these labels that are assigned to us. What is something that you feel like people don't know about you and they should?
I like how you presented that. So we should have a link in the bio, right, that they can click if they want to ask us questions for the next podcast?
Yes. So there will be a link below that you guys can ask us questions, and we're going to have a segment where you are able to ask us questions about ourselves or just our opinions on things. I don't know why anyone would want my opinion on something, but just in case, man.
Hey, we're here.
Try it out and see what. I'm not going to release anything that's not adherable to Jesus's ears.
If my kids can't watch it, I'm not going to answer it.
I'm not reading that loud.
But to speak to that, I want people to know that a fun fact, I think I'm a comedian. I crack myself up. I'm probably the funniest person that I know.
Your wife?
She thinks she's the funniest person. So yeah. It's healthy. Fun fact. Our house is like a sitcom sometimes.
Yeah.
And like
the roasters, like you roast each other.
Yes. And our kids, and they get us back. And, but something that I want people to know is that I'm normal. I'm a human being just like them. On my social media, I only post positive, encouraging, faith-based stuff. I don't promote anything, even if I'm still currently in the midst of some stuff. If it's not positive, encouraging, or building faith, and I won't post it on my social media. So a lot of people don't get to see just a real normal person. They always see this positive preacher, Jesus guy. And so I'd like our audience to know that I'm normal. I'm down to earth. And I think I'm the funniest thing on the planet and crack myself up. So,
well, I love that for you, man. I really do. Yeah. Because if you don't think you're the funniest person on earth, then,
you can crack yourself up. You can make it. I made it through, I don't know how many months of prison of just cracking myself up. And so what about you? What would you want our audience to know?
I would want, I don't know a great way to present it, but I think, like I said, my reputation for a long time has always been really like straight-laced to a point. I think a lot of people assume that about me based on some of my profile. And
pretty professional. Very
professional. Yeah. I keep it classy. I keep it really classy because I do believe that everything that we post follows us around. And I do think that what you put out into the world manifests. So if you aren't manifesting positivity, positive impact, then you're kind of just adding fuel to a fire that's already been burning for. And so I'm not going to steal yours. I am the funniest person, but I would say that, I would want people to know that despite my consistent positive outlook, I do have moments of weakness. I do have empathy for situations. I come off cold-hearted, I've been told a lot, or when I see like if I'm helping someone and they're not helping themselves and I have a bad habit, I'll just cut you off. If you don't want to move in that direction, that's cool. I'm not forcing anyone to. I don't want anyone to follow me, right? Influence is not the same as follow,
right?
I don't want anyone to follow me, but I definitely want to be able to relate to. Have women that have moments of weakness. They're strong, right? We're holding everything on our shoulders, but I still find time to be weak. It took me a long time to figure that puzzle out.
That it's okay to have weak moments. Yeah.
I mean, I'm still a little, nitpicky about it. And so I don't want to say like I schedule it, but I definitely only break down when I have time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have time for this right now. I could be in the car just jamming out to my going. And then crying. I'm just bawling like a baby, you know, like there's this certain Madison Ryan Ward. She gets in my heart every time where I'm just like, hi. And then I just like show up to where I'm supposed to be. And like, okay.
Had your moment, got through it.
I'm done now.
Yeah.
Like, let's keep it moving. But that is something I just want people to know about me. Like
we're real people.
We're real people.
Yeah.
We're real people. We're really real in it, you know? And I saw this thing the other day that said, when life is life, God is Godding.
Right.
And it made me giggle because, you know, we're at a point where everybody just shares just most random things all the time. And you get to choose what you want to pick up, what you want to set down, and what you have on, you know, our generation. Everyone, I think it's like 88% of people have a Facebook or have an Instagram. And I hear consistently, or I see consistently people complaining about the negativity that they're seeing in the world. You can change that. The algorithm is set up for you to change it. Yeah. You know, start following and resetting your mentality, your mindset as you start to reset your mindset and you start to unfollow. And like you said, I think earlier, cut ties. You have to really learn, okay, if they're not serving themselves in the best fashion, what are they doing for my life? What kind of energy are they pushing back onto me? What ripple effect is that going to cause? Am I going to lose 6 months, 8 months, a year from allowing that negativity or the doubt? Fortunately, a lot of times it's our family, close friends we've had for a long time. Some of the friends that I grew up with, it was an aha, but a sad moment when I realized that they were no longer going to be able to be a part of my life. It wasn't on a malicious intent.
Not at all.
On any hatred.
No, it's more heartbreaking than anything when you come to grips with that.
It's not me putting myself on a pedestal. It's me staying aligned.
Yes.
With my purpose.
Yes.
Staying aligned where I need to. If I don't stay like locked in on my mark, I'm going to miss it.
Yeah.
If I miss my mark, then what? You know, then the ripple effect of my children.
Yeah.
They will have to bleed what I want and what I am not willing to.
Right.
And that's failure to me. You're talking about how I'm not afraid of failure. Failure to me is that's failure to me. You're talking about how I'm not afraid of failure. Failure to me is waking up in 15 years and my children still dealing with the same depression, anxiety, grief, financial troubles, hardships that I had to go through. I'm only hustling this hard so they don't have to. So that's failure to me, and that's a long run. That's a long game. So I just have to lock in, you know?
Yeah.
And really stay in tune with that.
I want to touch on that, the part of it's nothing malicious. It's not like bad intentions, but come to grips with I have to be locked in. Well, I'm such a control freak, but I try not to be. But I've got to be in control of what's in my life and what I allow in it. Because the only stuff that's in my life is what I allow in it. Mm-hmm. And so if it's not conducive to me being the best version of myself, then at some point in time, I have to cut ties. And it's nothing, like I said, it's more heartbreaking, man, once you realize, like, man, that's my best friend, man. That's one of my big homies that I looked up to my whole life, you know, and it's like, they can't be in my life. It's nothing. It's not even a comparison or competition or, hey, I'm better than you now, but I need to be the best version of myself. In order to be the best version of myself, this can't be in my life, can be in my life, just to be in control of that.
Yeah.
While trying not to be a control freak.
I completely can relate to that. You know, the access points that we allow for certain people, which, you know, when I first started my business, again, that mask also came with people had so much access to me because I was a pick-me. I was so afraid that I wouldn't get business continuously. I wouldn't, you know, certain things weren't going to roll out unless I said yes. Yeah. So I became a yes woman. Yes. Yes. Saturdays? Yes. My kid's birthday? Yes. What do you need me to do? I'll do it. Oh, you want me to drop? Okay. I didn't know how to do these things, but I would figure them out just so I wouldn't get looked past.
Right.
And then when I realized, actually, you hone in, you align, and then you cut off access to anyone that's dragging you away from your mark.
Yeah.
And you get further.
Yes.
Because you're on full throttle to
focus, zoned in.
And for me, the only way that I could do, like, at the end of the day, I only have obligations to 3 people in my life. Both of my children and my older brother, Sean, who is the closest. In a way, he doesn't necessarily depend. He depends on me in a lot of fashions. You know, I'm very thankful for the program we have that he resides in and his living situation. I mean, Big Sean living in Mission Hills, he's doing just fine. But those are the 3 people in my life that I have any obligation to answer a phone call, take them shopping, feed them, any of that. Outside of that, that's where I had to be. I had to just cut access off to everyone and then come back and say, okay, all right, well, and here's another thing. I had to humble myself to be like, oh, I did cut off access to you. Some of that was my unhealed trauma.
Come on.
Some of that was me not knowing who was good and who was bad. I was so doubting myself that I cut off too many people to where I had to come back. And for one, my former boss with Equipbid, I had to come back to him and just be humble and be like, here's the deal, man. I walked away with my head way too high, stuck up, thinking I could do this, and this. And he actually continuously always had my back. But when you get to a space where you feel like people are using you for money or whatever it may be, you don't trust your gut. So I had to get back to that point where once I locked in with my children and I was like, okay, you know, there was a point in time where I wasn't locked in with my children. And once I locked in with my children, it gave me the confidence to start locking in. And then I came to a certain point where if anyone that's work, that's family, that's friends, if they were to come into our circle, F up.
Interrupt that flow, interrupt that harmony.
No go.
Yep.
Nope. One and done. And I would not even give you a justification. You just would never hear from me again because in some fashion or another, one of my children didn't feel safe and not in but they just didn't feel comfortable. If my kids don't feel comfortable around you, if my kids can't be themselves around you, we don't need to be around you.
Yeah.
That's simple. And that's not a hard decision for me to make, you know? But it was a big one. I come from a long line of hillbillies and I love them. Okay. I love them a lot. I do. But I don't agree with everything that they agree with. My children are half Hispanic. And so I wear very proudly that it's important for them to understand my heritage and their father's heritage. I think it's very important to be a voice and an advocate on all levels for Isabel because she's nonverbal. And so some of those people, they cut themselves out by not even trying to be empathetic towards some of the things that we face on a day-to-day level. Speaking of day-to-day, what does a normal day-to-day look like in your life? You said you're human. I just want to know, how human are you?
Oh my gosh.
Do you park your jetpack?
Yeah, sometimes if they have a charging station available.
Nice.
So I work a normal job. Not here in Kansas City. I'm sure they do. 7 to 3:30. In the Bricklayers Union here in Kansas City.
Oh, wow.
On the restoration side. So I do a lot of, it's good money. You know, if you, as it warms up, you want to come join the Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers, give me a shout, reach out. It's, we're started at $27.99 an hour with no GED, no experience. Just show up, sign up, and we'll get you a job. Kind of crazy, I know.
We're going to put that information down below too. Because
if you need it.
Here in Kansas City, not to say that jobs are scarce, but that's a really great
It's a game
resource.
changer.
Yeah.
My wife's been able to be a stay-at-home mom for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And they just upped that starting wage a couple years ago.
What got you into that?
A buddy of mine.
Okay.
So
somebody else that threw out that info. Yeah.
And, especially from where we come from, of crime, addiction, poverty, literally a game changer.
Yeah.
Now
all of a sudden you have possibilities and there's extra opportunities.
And a firm foundation, great health insurance for me, my wife, and kids until they're 26 years old. And so, definitely a game changer. Whenever it's winter like this and cold, maybe work 2 to 3 days a week. Just depends on the weather. But then we have a ministry that we lead on Tuesday nights. My wife and I do just a Bible study fellowship at a local church in Kansas City, Kansas. So we do that every Tuesday, no matter what, rain, sleet, snow. We eat together, pray and worship together.
Unless you're Abigail that doesn't read the text messages and brings her kids McDonald's. I felt like such a dork. I was like, to feed them. And so we're just going to run by McDonald's and I show up and you're like, yeah, there's plate. I'm like, if I take these french fries away from her, man, she will bite.
Let her have the french. So that's one of our commitments.
That's Shawnee Drive.
Shawnee Drive, right over Highland Crest area. And so those are commitments that we have. Most Sundays we're in church at the same church. We have a horse that we board in Lawrence. And so one of the commitments that I'm slacking on is taking my wife to see our horse once a week.
What's the horse's name?
Kingdom.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's a quarter horse. Yeah, he's graying out. He's pretty. And then those are commitments on that horse when I'm slacking a little bit. And then
I'm going to take a trip out to Lawrence, so I'm going to take Amy.
And then so many variables throughout the week. We've kind of tightened up on having like an open door policy with our community and people from the neighborhood, but we'll never turn anyone away. If they need a shower, if they need something to eat, if they just need a couple hours to sit there and vent and cry and not be judged, then
that's beautiful.
We keep our door open like that, and a lot of variables in between that. And
I had to breathe after you said that because I think that is extremely beautiful of you and Amy to open up your home like that because. And this is just me, I've tried to do that in the past and I opened up my home to evil spirits.
It comes with it.
And those are evil spirits that I think that the reason why your house is protected, you've created this level of protection within your home based on your faith.
Blood of Jesus Christ.
Yeah. As you walk in that door, you can feel it too, very comforting, very loving. Belle's over here grabbing chicken off of here.
She goes and jumps on Amy's lap like she's known her whole life.
Fridge, grabbing the ketchup. I'm like, dude, this.
Get it, girl, get it. Yeah.
But and that's something that currently the situation me and my kids are in is I needed to. My grandmother fell ill recently, about 6 months ago. Now I say recently, but man, time flies when you're having fun. And I decided, and my lease was ending at the time, and I needed to be there in real time to help with the day-to-day things like cooking, making sure that food was safe to eat, and some things like that. And that humbled me so much to be living with an 83 and an 86-year-old. So much.
In their zone. In their space. Yeah. Yeah. They didn't move in with you. You moved in with them. So it's
because relocating my grandma at that point and my grandpa was not the best decision. The best decision is me and my kids were adaptable, right? So we can hop in and just adapt to where we're at. Oh, that's Miss Isabel in the background, just living her best life. My shadow. And so having that piece of it, our day-to-day life has changed so radically recently. And to be able to learn how to maneuver and grow and give myself grace and, have those weak moments in the car and be strong all at the same time. And it's exhausting, but beautiful. It's a beautiful exhaustion.
Yeah.
Well, my day-to-day life, it's I wake up, I take my girls to 2 separate elementary schools. Isabel has a thing with sensory with shoes. And so usually picking out not just what type of shoe she's going to wear, but the way that you tie her shoe and tuck her shoe in is a 45 minute process. So we're late almost every single day if we wake up early.
Bless your heart.
She's very opinionated. If you know or love anyone with Down syndrome, then you know that they are very opinionated.
Very strong-willed too.
I wouldn't take it from her because that's going to get her places, But we start with that, and then that usually leads. She got pants from somewhere. I don't know where these pants came from. But so then they go to school, right? And I go to my office, and at my office, I have meetings. I am a training specialist for Equipment Auctions. The owner of Equipment Auctions is a fantastic mentor of mine. He has invested so much time into just teaching me things. And I sit there until the girls get out of school. I go get the girls from school. And then like you said, there's variables, right? Are we doing the podcast tonight, or do we need a night to just chill at home? Are we
checking out the homegirl's new house she just bought? Or
my best friend just bought her first house, and so I'm like, hey, let's go. We are definitely like,
so cast some demons out of that sucker.
We're gonna have to. It's a really cool house. It's like the back room is like all wood panels and stuff, and she's like already telling me. So I'm like, we've been best friends since the 4th grade. And she's already like sending me her Pinterest board because she has the ideas and I know how to do it.
Yeah.
Not to say, Sid, you don't know how to do it, but she knows
what she wants, and you'll carry it out.
I grew up, my dad's a roughneck, and from a plumber to like, he was in the military building FEMA camps over in Iraq for a decade. And so I picked up things here and there. I can lay tile. I can paint. I can redo cabinets. In fact, my ex and the father of my kids, he was a finisher. So now I know how to finish sheetrock and stuff like that. You just pick things up from different people and you didn't even know how you got there, but now you know how to do it. And then, after I get my kids and decide what variable that is, I cook dinner every night. And then we, I don't want to say meditate, because I feel like people have misconception of what meditation has to look like. For us, if we can just have a calm moment of us sitting there,
being still,
painting, chilling, talking. Last night, me and Jazzy played Monopoly, Hello Kitty Monopoly. All right.
Nice.
I only had 2 properties, the 2 dark blue ones on the end, and I added 2 houses, and she quit. Third time. The overall behind the scenes of this podcast, I think, is kind of important to touch base on, so people really can resonate with, you could do this.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Yeah. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to have a studio. You got to switch gears real quick.
So we really appreciate all of you chiming in tonight. Yeah, we really appreciate you guys all chiming in for Revenant Voices episode tonight. This is our first episode, you guys getting to know us and just participating. And don't forget that we will be submitting those questions below. We'd also like, if you wouldn't mind, sharing and following on our platforms that you prefer. We are on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram. Any more misses something?
I think that's everything. And again, thank you for tuning in, and we're looking forward to just sharing life with you guys. Also, we will have the link in the bio for y'all to give us some questions to answer. Again, I don't know why you would ask us our advice, but if you want it, we're here.
Right. Oh, and big shout out to Jesse and Kandy Skullz for supporting us and showing some love. And yes, his information will also be down in the bio for custom print jobs and anything that you may need printed. He's the guy for you, as well as equipment auctions for basically sponsoring us with some cool equipment and being able to, do some of this cool finessing on the behind the scenes. So those are our sponsors, and we appreciate all of you. Much love again. Yep.
Thank you much.
And have a beautiful night, guys.
You're loved, you're worthy, and you guys aren't alone.
Yep. And you are important. So amen, and keep it pushing. See you next week.
See you guys later.